Welcome back to another edition of the Good Eye Podcast. I'm Jay Smack, and today my guest is Andrey Karpov. Andrey Karpov is currently associated with such organizations as IT for Causes, online at it4causes.org, and IT for Causes. Staff, volunteers, and interns work together to deploy standardized information technology tools to create reliable, durable, and highly affordable business solutions for their nonprofit clients. And Andrey also has a burgeoning life coach business that is TruAgility RVA, online at TruAgility, TruAgilityRVA.com, where he is passing along some of the things he has learned over his journey to you. To help you live the best life you possibly can. And he comes at it from a very logical perspective. He's actually very balanced in that regard, where he is very logical and comes from the IT and technical fields, but he's also open to energy, open to the universe, telling him, talking to him, basically. And that's what we kind of get into here. So let's let Andrey tell you his story, his own self. Here's my conversation with Andrey Karpov of TruAgility RVA on today's Good Eye Podcast. And welcome to another edition of the Good Eye Podcast. I'm Jay Smack, your host, and with me today is Andrey Karpov. And Andrey, thanks for being here, man.
Thank you so much, Jay, for inviting me. I'm very humbled that we're doing this on my birthday, so it makes me feel double special, and I hope I will be able to share something valuable with your audience today.
Absolutely, yeah. I forgot it was your birthday. Happy birthday.
Thank you. Yes. 37 years old. Two lucky numbers, 3. That's, Trinity is a big thing in a lot of religions and confessions. And then we have a 7, which is a lucky number in general, whether you believe in casinos or not. Yep. And then 3 plus 7 is 10, makes it a nice round number. So I always
like the number 10. I'm not sure why, other than it was my number when I played Little League Baseball. And like you said, it's a nice solid round number. And if you buy into numerology, it's a basis, a very foundational number, obviously, except in America with the empirical system. I don't know where that came from, but it's very foundational in regards to the metric system.
Well, it came from England, from at least my knowledge, and a lot of places around the world have substituted it with the metric system, or have added the metric system to their to the empirical system or to the older system. One of those countries is actually Canada. That's the reason why you may notice on more or less newer cars you have the ability to switch miles to kilometers or switch different conversion units because they have both. And I've been coming here since the beginning of the 90s and moved here permanently from St. Petersburg, Russia, where I was born in 2001, right before September 11. And I've been living here for so long now, on and off. Going to Europe for work and life, but I still cannot make the dots connect about Fahrenheit. I have on my thermostat 78 degrees right now. It's pretty hot for most of you, but I guess I come from a cold place, so I like it to be warm. But whatever that means, that's good for me. I know 75 is somewhere in the right range. 72 is supposed to be, or 73 is supposed to be perfect for everyone. But in European sense of the word, 21 degrees, 21 and a half, 22, that's what, that's comfortable temperature. So I still have to convert that in my head.
I can tell you have a very logical and analytical mind.
I really do. And sometimes it does really prevent me from taking life much easier than it is. And the only time I'm more or less able to relax that logical mindset, apart from the project work that I do at IT for Causes, is when I coach people or try to coach people at TruAgility. I try to think or look at things not logically, but just, in a more relaxed, present fashion, being here without trying to connect the dots, without trying to fight with the windmills or without trying to question things, because it's a waste of energy. And, it's all about just being calm, just being satisfied, not trying to analyze, not even trying to focus sometimes. That's the whole purpose of meditation.
Mm-hmm.
We want to go into that. But I guess I said it a lot, so I'm going to pause and let you kind of drive it.
No, I'm enjoying it. That's what we're all about here. But yeah, all right, cool. Let me give you a little, or not you necessarily, but listeners, a little background on you. And you can fill in the gaps wherever you want. I ultimately want to arrive at what you mentioned, your Agility RVA life coaching business. We'll get there, but you graduated from the New York Institute of Technology, major in international business and minor in computer graphics. No slouch there. Obviously very, very intelligent and very, like I said, analytical. You've worked in investment banking, asset management. You've done some government contracting. I came to know you through the networking group Synapse, which I mentioned quite a bit. In fact, I don't know, this podcast might double as a Synapse hubcast. Sometimes we do that because I help Synapse produce their podcast, and came in contact with you. I think it was right before you started officially working for IT for Causes. I think you were maybe volunteering when I met you at a meeting, and ultimately you came on as an employee there, helping them. And now, of course, you've started your own business, your coaching business, Agility RVA. So let's take it back about a half a step. And how did you come to volunteer, first of all, at IT for Causes? And you might want to tell people what they're all about, and then become an employee there. And then we'll talk about your coaching business.
Sure. I think that's a great way to rewind things a bit, not necessarily all the way back, but to that time in my life. So I'd say let's start from Virginia, Richmond. I came here from New Jersey. I was in the government contracting space. That space was one of the biggest transition points in my life after I returned from back from St. Petersburg, Russia, after finishing my degree that you mentioned, and having worked in international banking and business administration. So I always tried to align my education and my skills to what I'm actually doing. I know it doesn't always happen in life. In fact, to mention it, in Russia, or eastern part of the world, it doesn't happen almost at all. You get some kind of a degree, and then you're like, what do you have? And then you kind of develop and you get those skills. And for me, it was always sort of depressing. I'm like, well, why do people go through all this schooling, and then they don't use all the knowledge that they get? It's kind of wasted. But as I grew older, I realized one important thing. Anything we learn in life, and life is about continuous learning, and not only happiness, but also self-improvement, so you can be happier, because you're not born with Wikipedia in your mind, or digital chip, or or a SIM card. You're born with ability to process a lot of information, and the knowledge, or empirical knowledge, that only 10% at the most, if not less, of your brain is being utilized for great, tremendous abilities that are out there. So with that in mind, you have a certain time span, I'm not going to say short or long, to accomplish all the great things by processing and retaining data and using it to provide value to others that you interact with. So having said that, I try to align my knowledge to my actual practical experience. And when I came back to US in 2015, after some political unpleasant events that took place in Russia towards Ukraine, that I did not support in any way, shape, or form, but at the same time, just for the listeners, might be interesting note, who doubted or looked at the media, Russian government and Russian people are two different facets. Okay, so Russian government crazy, always oppressed its people, never really valued them. Yes, comes from the people. Obviously, people elect the government in one way or the other, but Russian people are, just true, good, democratic, libertarian people. They want freedoms. They're just afraid to ask for it because, no ability to carry arms, no ability to really protest or demonstrate. You get in prison and all that. So the reason I mention all this is because that kind of formed my character. I'm very libertarian by nature. I believe in true freedoms of expression, freedoms of speech. Well, obviously nothing that could hurt anybody else. But desire for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness brought me back to the US, where I started off by looking for a financial services career, in which I was before for a long time. on the higher end of it, but nothing good came out of that. And I was at a point where I either, call it a day in terms of the finances that I had accumulated in Russia and brought over back here, or find something to do. So I stumbled upon a small company with government contracting space where I really worked hard, and it brought me to greater opportunities in Richmond in a mid-sized level firm. So I came to Richmond, moved to Richmond happily with my ex-wife at the time. And I started working here. Everything was going great until the shutdown of the government of 2018-19. I even didn't know until that time that there's such a thing in US as a shutdown of the government. I mean, seriously, come on. Like, US is the most leading example democracy, but it happened. How did it affect me? Well, I lost my job. And that's where it all begins, the whole transformation. I started networking. I started really, really heavily networking. It became much more than just LinkedIn, which was more of a, well, I have the premium subscription and yeah, great. I can send emails and I can reach out to people. But what is that anyways? Because everybody I knew, especially in the Russian speaking community in US, they told me LinkedIn, maybe Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. I'm not looking for a job. I don't need LinkedIn. I'm like, well, hold on, guys. This is really cool network. And I was familiar with LinkedIn back in Russia when I worked there for many years in the financial field. For some reason, I just believed in it so much. And that's how my mindset started to shape. So apart from LinkedIn, I went into all these networking events. I first met, I'd say, the biggest networking venue or career group, so to say, that shaped my transformation was Career Prospectors and Jobs Assistance Ministry Jam at St. Michael's, and there's another church, Presbyterian church, I believe. But anyway, yeah, so I went there and I met some great people that really were trying to help the community and help the people around to find jobs, to network, to fine-tune your resume, to excel at your speech, at your interviews, suggested some good books, invited some speakers, and I got involved with them through volunteering. So that's another big portion of my life to mention. Volunteering was rediscovered for me. Before, volunteering was like, well, jog run for the sake of like a cancer walk, or maybe walking animals at a shelter. Like, volunteering, why do you need it? What is it? Do you need it on your resume? So I started doing it, and it became great. I mean, it's the reason why it's so important for people that are questioning or saying, I don't have the time, I don't want it, I work, or I don't work and I'm looking for a job, or just don't want to do it. It keeps you sane, guys. It really does. You're practicing whatever knowledge you have to whatever application that's needed, or there is a need. And nobody's going to tell you, you're doing this wrong, this is how we need to do it, you have to come at this time, and so forth. It's all pro bono. It's all at will, and there's social impact involved. And with time, you start to realize, this is really great. I'm doing something purposeful. I mean, you don't question yourself. Like, let's say for the group of audience that are, Christians, and I was raised in Russian Orthodox Christian. When you go to church on Sunday, you kind of know you have to go there, right? It's also volunteering in one way, right? Because you're volunteering to go there on your Sunday time when you could be sleeping in, right? Or just enjoying breakfast for a long morning. But you go there to pray. So you go there to get some energy and inspiration, to share conversation with the group. So it's kind of the same concept, but from the other angle, right? You're employing your practical skills for the good of the community that sees you, that maybe same people up there, but they say, wow, you're great, or you're doing a great job. Thank you so much. Things will be good. So you get inspired, you get connected, and even people that don't, work currently, that are there with you, they can recommend you. Everybody knows everyone. Do never assume that person in front of you who has a standard title, I'm just going to throw out some things there, maybe stereotypical in a way, but people typically come across those situations. Life insurance agent, realtor, banker, I don't know, Uber driver, whoever. By the way, one of my side hustles is Uber driving, but we can talk about that later. But these people all know people. And you never know, who they drove, who they dealt with, who they drank with and ate with, and so forth. So that all gives you opportunities. So this led me to Synapse, where we are currently, actively networking, and where I represent IT for Causes and TruAgility RVA lately. And I met Keith Reynolds at the time. That was back in 2019, in the summer of 2019, pretty much the same time. Well, spring and summer, I met Career Prospectors. And then he tells me, it was at Tech for Troops hub, which was really memorable because I got inspired by Tech for Troops and Mark Casper and what they're doing for the community of veterans with the hardware that they refurbish and repurpose. And he said, do you know this guy, Tom Anderson, in town? He runs a nonprofit that's geared on IT, and they do Scrum and Agile. And I was just looking into that, right? I had some Agile experience. I had some waterfall experience in GovCon, but I wasn't like certified in any way whatsoever. Like I was running it in a very unformalized way to the best of my abilities, having had very hard time from the very beginning of my life with time management, self-management, productivity. And, Stephen Covey was the best of my abilities where I could get in terms of reading his book and trying to understand what the heck is he talking about and how does he do that. So I meet Tom at U of R, where every Tuesday, from what I remember, they were running Scrum of Scrums. And for those of you that are not familiar, or basically it's a review of all the projects of the nonprofit clients in a Kanban fashion with Post-it notes on the board through Trello, which is the application that we use, which I highly am not paid by them or anything, but I highly recommend it as one of those amazing free agile tools that will help you visualize your life. And
what's it called? What's it called?
Trello.com. It's part of Atlassian.
Oh, okay.
Family of products. It's free. It's great to collaborate. They give you a lot of freebies and perks. Even for a small business, you can run it for free, and they have amazing deals for nonprofits and for startups, I think. So I started using that. Tom introduced it to me. My first impression of him was, okay, computer scientist, bearded guy, very serious in glasses, not smiling much, and not much high and hello, and bless you when you sneeze. So I was like, okay, he's weird a bit. But I'm mentioning this in a good way, of course, if he will be listening to this. I mean, we have a great relationship with him. But you got to understand me. I was halfway, and I still am halfway a business person and halfway person trying to get my feet wet in IT, having had experience with computers since the 90s when I was a small kid growing up in Russia, and was fortunate because I come from a well-to-do family, which was fortunate and not fortunate as well. We can talk about that later, psychology-wise. But yeah, I had exposure to computers since I was really young, and I loved everything technology. So I said, I gotta start doing this. So this is my best path. So I started volunteering with Tom as of August 2019, just trying to remember. And at the same time, I got certified with Scrum Alliance as a Scrum Master and Product Owner. And just got really inspired. I was looking for a job, still looking for a job, burning my money, getting certified, paying several $1,000s to do all this. Get to meet all the great people in the community, like Mike Vizdas, who's the Scrum guru locally, and Adam Beck, who helped me get certified in Safe DevOps as a practitioner with Scaled Agile. So all of these great things, a lot of theoretical knowledge, and I'm like, I need to land the job because it's going to evaporate, right? My whole idea of the logical idea, right, or analytical idea that theory should be used with practice. So I volunteered my butt off as much as I could with IT for Causes. I had some contract gigs in between, and then essentially at some point, and Tom started saying this periodically, because I told him it'd be great to work for you. He's like, yeah, I know, man, but how do we pay you? Mm-hmm. Right? We're a nonprofit, right? And we do IT with the help of skilled volunteers and interns. If you could sell, I'm like, well, hold on. And, I go back in my life and like sales. You're good today. You're bad tomorrow, you're good the day after tomorrow. Don't like that. I like consistency. I like predictability. What I didn't know at the time is vibrancy in life. That's what counts, right? Dynamic nature of things. And I can share a little bit more later about what I'm going through right now in my life. But overall, you always have to be sort of ready for the storm, but not go into the storm. Avoid it at all costs in a wise way, in a smart way. But if you get into the storm, don't panic and take it as it is, because it makes you stronger.
And how do you define the storm? Tough times, lean times, all of that?
Yeah, it's like, well, I don't know if it's a good time to share or not, but what happened was, so after Tom offered me we were coming to that, I started volunteering, had those gigs, and then he offers me the position. At the same time, I learned that, my marriage is falling apart. My 12-year, 11.5-year marriage is falling apart. And mainly due to my own, unaccountability or inability to realize some things or hold my crap together, as a man, whatever that means these days. I don't know. I come from a very, in a good sense of the word, guys, a non-politically correct culture where we say things directly. If something is stupid, we say that's stupid. Or if something is great, we say that's great. And I understand I'm in the US, so I have to be more correct about it. So I'm just going to say I was, I feel I could have been better in many ways. But at the same time, I feel that when I tried to improve and save my marriage from falling apart, and I had my wife leave me and then come back, she could have been also a little bit more understanding and been more patient and giving me a chance to sustain the marriage. But that didn't happen. And I'm not going to say it's for the best or it's for the worst. It is for what it is. That's what life is. You have to be ready for these things, and you have to be ready not to lose people. You have to be ready to, you have to be ready to lose people, and you have to be ready to lose jobs, and you have to be ready for whatever loss will come in your life, because ultimately life is about challenges that make us stronger, but it is about a lot of unfortunate events that will occur. And I'm not going to say can occur, will occur. Like, for example, the loss of your parents, right? And luckily I sit right now here being 37, have both of my parents in New Jersey. They're well alive, healthy, and well-to-do. And there's nothing I can do for them other than love them unconditionally, which unfortunately they cannot provide back. They have a lot of conditions that they put in place in front of my life since the very beginning. But I have to accept them for who they are, which was not always the case in my life. And that was something that defined my path and created a lot of turmoil emotionally and psychologically. And I had to constantly row in different directions without having a true vision and roadmap of my life that I now overall do. I know where I'm heading finally. I know what I'm doing. I know what makes me happy. I know what my Ikigai is. Ikigai, for those of you that are not familiar with this term, is the state of being. And it's 4 facets of life. What are you passionate about? What are you good at? What the world needs, and what you can get paid for or commercialize on. You can transcend this framework pretty much into any sphere. Relationships, there you go. Do you love this person? Are you happy with that person? Do they make you happier? Not happy, happier. If they make you happy, we've got a problem, a serious one, because that means you're not happy with yourself. And don't lie to yourself again, right? The body will tell you what you truly feel. Are you good at making them happier, helping them grow, supporting them, understanding them? Do they need you? Do they want your help? Do they want your support? Do they want your love? Do they feel good about being around you? And 4, can you build something long-term with them? Do you necessarily have to? There's a group of people out there that will say there's nothing permanent in life. Right now you're married to one person, then another person, you have 10 kids from different people. There's no right or wrong about how you live your life. But what I do know, if you're solid about something and you truly want to be happy and make others happy. I'm not even going to say the word work on it, work on your relationship. It's just about just realizing where you are at what moment in time and what the soul means. You can build a long-lasting life with that person next to you, with that partner, accompanying you along that journey, and you both holding hands at sometimes and sometimes not holding hands, but living a remarkable, long-lasting life without any judgments, constraints, impediments, consensus, sure, sometimes on reasonable grounds, but overall, no relationship should entangle you and make you unhappy or limit you in any ways. There should be an open dialogue, discussion, and as less emotions as possible in that. So the fourth one is about possibly marriage, kids, and, eternity together, mutual wisdom, transformation. But if you ask me overall on this last topic, I do feel that had the society, politically speaking, legally speaking, not mandated marriage as the premise for, what if something happens? We need to have joint assets together. What if something happens with you? I need to go to the hospital so I can show our marriage certificate or whatever other stuff. It's really about what's in your heart. No rings, no certificates of marriage, no endorsements, no 200 guests that you invite in the wedding will make you happier. Or even business together. Sometimes it may not even be good, but sometimes it can be really good. You may complement each other. It's about that feeling that's in here. Now, can you love each other all your life and be romantically infused and go like, whoa? No, you can't. The answer is no, because it's hard to sustain that original feeling. And to give you an idea, it's going to be a weird analogy, and I love analogies. There was a short period of time in my life when I was, I was married 2 times. The first time when I was married was for 6 months in my life. I was very young and foolish at the time, and I was trying to prove something to my parents and to the rest of the world, which was doomed for failure. But my first wife, she smoked, and I didn't like that. I tried to be more or less healthy, but I was, as you probably have seen on some of the posts I've done, I was overweight 65 pounds. So I lost 65 pounds in the last year and a half, 2 years. But at the time, I wasn't very healthy, and I started smoking as well. But my idea was not that I enjoyed smoking, but because I wanted her to stop. So 2 things that I learned later. You cannot change people against their will. You have to accept them the way they are, even if they're totally wrong. And number 2, speaking about romantics and marriage and comparing it to cigarettes, when you smoke, for first 2-3 times when you inhale, you feel that nicotine, you really like it, and then you start the same crap that you're used to, and then the next day you cough. So it's kind of the same thing. You have to realize that marriage is sort of like a market, but you can have a positive trend on it if you invest continuously. And this is the part I think where the financial people, if they're listening, they'll say, okay, he's endorsing us. But yeah, it really is that way, because I worked in it. I always told people, regardless of the market, if you invest a little bit over the long run, it will go up, because that's the trend. And that's truth, right? So you never give up, but you have a consistent strategy and you pick your foundation correctly. You pick your right partner correctly. You invest a little bit of love in them. And candles, dinners, romantic evenings. That's what makes it happy. That's what makes you happy. But should you go nuts about your second half, or should you be afraid to lose them? Absolutely not. Now, it should not go up to a point where you're like, I don't care. No, you should care. And I say this typically about jobs too. I say, should you care for the job? Well, it's not your business. You're working there. You're an employee, so you're getting paid. But yes, you should care. You should care up to the point where it doesn't detriment your health, your well-being, and it allows you to grow professionally. Because in my humble opinion, every rational, self-fulfilling human being should try to follow the slogan of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It's a wonderful, amazing phrase from the Declaration of Independence that I embrace 100%. And for me, liberty foremost is starting something of my own. not being told by anybody what I truly need to do and how I need to do. Now, there's certain fine line between that. If I work for someone, obviously I support what they're doing. I believe in their mission. I believe in their services. I believe in their products. And it's overall their framework for me to play in, so to say, right, or work in. So I need to respect that. Respect is a very important aspect in work and life and any environment. Respect comes with time. It comes from trust. In order to trust each other, as we say in Russian, you have to eat a pound. Interestingly enough, it's a metric system, right? Metric country, but we say you need to eat a pound of salt together, which that means is, all of the tables, how many times we sit at the table and discuss and meet as friends. Pound of salt is an enormous amount of salt. So it comes with time. And love is simply a nice way to frame it. I love my employer. I love my job. I love my wife. I love my kids. I love the society. I love my mother-in-law. All of that comes from respect and trust. Trust is in the core of everything in life. So I trust you, Jay, right? I'm giving you all of the, sort of say, the backbone of my heart and soul and what happened in my life without thinking where it will go, how it will go. But I'm doing it willingly because I have respect for you. I've observed you at different synapse meetings. I've met you in person. You're a great guy. You project positive energy. So therefore, I'm open to sharing my story with you and your listeners, and hopefully for them coming up with not even questions, but with things to ponder about in their mind. Every speech is about building a seed in the mind of others. Therefore, I always tell my life coaching clients when I sit down with them, I say, how may I serve you today? And at the end, when they talk and I listen more, I don't speak as much as right now, and actually love listening to people. And I have gotten better at it overall with years. I wasn't always that way. I did have a lot of narcissistic traits, which were, again, doomed for failure. But, I had to at some point embrace myself and say, listen, I am the way I am. Can I be better? Yes. But don't deny yourself and say you're a piece of crap. Because if you do that, you'll never be able to polish yourself and make yourself better. You will be so depressed with who you are. So when I listen to my clients, I usually say, would you be open to coaching? And if they say yes, I say, I'm going to give you some recommendations based on what I see and make some conclusions. However, I'm not looking for your acceptance on that. I understand that people may close. They may say, no, I don't want this. I don't like this. Why is he even teaching me that? And we're talking about even first conversation, right? Where it's pro bono completely, 3 to 4 hour deep coaching, deep life coaching that I do. I'm looking for insight, for your ability to take the small seed of my still developing wisdom up to my 37 years of age, based on my core empirical evidence of life to this point, and some theoretical knowledge, which I've read selectively and continue reading every day through primarily audio books, which have helped me develop my listening skills, for you to take and think about in your spare time. Sometimes transformations come to us in the most remarkable places that we would never expect. And I'm sorry for those examples, but you're taking a shower, you're going to the bathroom, you're running, you're going to bed, and you're like hibernating. And boom, that idea comes. Oh, wait, hold on. He said this, or I saw that, or they were talking about this. Oh, this is really interesting. Never thought about it. Why didn't it occur to me later or earlier? So this is where this agile mindset takes its roots from. And the sooner you realize that you can undergo an amazing transformation in your life in terms of being open to insight, listening to people, not just being around people. There's some people that say, I want to be around successful people. They're great. I'm going to learn so much from them. I'm going to even play golf or tennis because these people are amazing. They're rich and all that. I want to be like them. Do you want to be like them, or do you want to be yourself? Yourself, your identity. You will never be like them. Never. Even if you read all their books and do what they do, the way they do it, and pay them to teach you how to do it. You will not be like them. And you should not be like them, because it's about you. And that's not egoism. That's not narcissism. It's healthy understanding that you are the way you are, you're unique, and everybody is unique. There's nothing unique about you in terms of, he has amazing talent. You know what talent is? Talent is hard work that is endorsed by people in your community, and ability to continue doing that hard work and social impact and good, regardless of how much fame you get. That's what it is about. And that's what defines a true leader, in my idea, and not a manager and not a guru or not an idol. Leader, leading by example.
The old adage of, the harder I work, the luckier I get. You know?
Kind of. I mean, some degree of luck sometimes really helps, I got to tell you. Speaking of luck, I don't know if you want to take it this direction now, but definitely one of those, like I said, sometimes things come to an end and you have to take that as in your next big challenge. Currently, so I still represent IT for Causes, and I'm trying to do my side hustle at TruAgility RVA. But the way things are turning out in our nonprofit is we have, and this is overall, I think it's fine to disclose this because, we've talked with Tom about this, and I would appreciate whoever listens if they, any way they can guide me, I would say, not even help me, but guide me in the right direction. There's a lot of things I don't see in life yet, and I'm open to insight, as I said. So the way things are going at IT for Causes, we're running a little bit low temporarily on the cash flow, and we do have to downsize a bit our staff. And we've let go a contractor, an intern, and now, myself, I'll be turning into a contractor and helping Tom partially with project management and other things on volunteer basis, and helping him with sales and business development on, commission basis. I also have my rent expiring next month. So I have to make some tough decisions. Life is throwing me sort of at the edge, but not the edge where I'm going to kind of fall and it's going to be the end of it. No, it's just pushing me. It's sort of giving me a kick in the butt. Like, dude, okay, great. What's next? Do you need a kick in the butt? I have a good friend. He likes to tell me that. He lives in Fredericksburg. And whenever we talk and I transcend from a life coach to a client or patient, I don't like really to use the word patient. Nobody is a patient. Nobody needs a life coach or therapist or a doctor. Everybody's healthy, regardless of what you have. Like, use it to your advantage. But he says, get yourself together. I'm going to come down there and give you a kick in the butt. And he's like a, karate master or something like this. I always forget what he majors in. But
so he's ultimately qualified to deliver said kick.
Oh yeah. And it's going to be a tough one. So that definitely gets me back on track, on the rails, and I start heading in the right direction. So just sharing this temporarily, not as a plea for help, but just letting the market know, so to say, that if I can market myself for a little second, a good guy is looking for a good place for the next long, big, agile transformation journey, to lead that place to that great Shangri-La and be part of that organization. I'm very loyal, very consistent, and at this point in life, money is important. It's hard to live without it, but it's obviously not all about the money. That's something I always tell my parents whenever I talk about them, because no money is going to make you happy. No thing's going to make you happy. It's about, what you do during the present, what you have for the future, and what you leave for the past, without looking at the past and thinking, oh my God, or that was great, I wish I had it again. It's the past. You can't redefine it. If you know someone with a time machine, let me know. But so far, I haven't heard about anyone who has invented that in our galaxy.
Some people would say ayahuasca is a suitable time machine. You know what that is? The substance that gives you a psychedelic trip and it takes you away and time becomes irrelevant, but that might not serve your purposes at this stage. So just maybe keep that in your back pocket.
So it's good that you mentioned that, Jay, because I actually want to mention a little bit about healthy living and lifestyle. I mean, obviously, there's so much material out there, and some things are controversial these days. Some are not. Like, for example, I still debate whether drinking milk and what kind of milk, is it good for you or not after the age of 25 or 30, or eating tomatoes, is it bad for your ankles? It's something I forgot to mention to you before the recording. I don't know. We all sometimes eat or drink something, but one thing I'm going to tell you guys about, smoking, obviously, yeah, that's stay away from that. I mean, it's already as much as you can. But alcohol, right? It's kind of commonly accepted thing in our society, and people drink for fun. People drink when they're sad. And some people just drink light beer. So other people drink only heavy liquor in a little bit. Some drink on the weekends. The others don't drink for a year and then have a drinking day and go crazy and pass out. Here's the rule of thumb that I have for myself. So I'm not going to say you should do that, but what I have. If you want some nice wine, just as an example, drink it when you feel happy. So today I'm going to have a glass of champagne because I'm happy, because it's a good day. I'm going to be with a good friend, my Buddhist mentor. I'm actually trying one way or the other to aspire to Buddhism because it is closely related to the agile mindset and framework. I'm not like a true classical practicing Buddhist where I chant every morning and every evening. In fact, I'm still trying to understand what that truly means for me, pronouncing Nam-myoho Renge-kyo, which is the mystic law of law or sutra, for those of you who know, and all the Ichiran scriptures. But especially when they're in a different language, like the Sanskrit language, and I don't understand what it means that I'm pronouncing it, but I try to get better at it each time. But drink only when you're happy, because alcohol, and whatever alcohol you take, whenever you take it, if you take it at all, it has a depressive effect on your mental state. And I don't even look at the pancreas, body as a whole. I don't know, heavy eyes, bad sleep. Forget that for right now, right? I'm not a doctor to tell you all that. And again, I just speak from my own experience and knowledge. But it works in two different directions. When you're saddened, my take on it is, whenever I'm in doubt, like I'm sitting there in front of the computer, I'm like, what should I do? I don't have no freaking idea. I just go to the gym, or I go run, or I go walk with my dog. That's when you gotta filter your brain. Stop everything you're doing. Call out, whatever. I mean, unless it's a critical project you have to be on, just stop for an hour or something, and just go and filter your brain with fresh air. Best thing you can do. And by the way, running in the sweaty gym, and going outside for a walk in the park, or outside running, and obviously weather permitting, everybody has a different perception of that, is always better, especially the sunlight. Now, there's two variances on that. You wake up in the morning and there's crappy weather, and you're like, oh, crappy day, I want to stay in bed, I don't want to go anywhere. It's all within your head. That's what you got to tell yourself. Yes, it's a bad day outside for maybe going and walking and and eating ice cream, but it doesn't mean that's what's happening in your kitchen if you're working remotely, where I'm sitting right now, or if you're going to work in your car, or even if you're walking there, is going to be a bad day. You create that day, make it remarkable. And as I like to say, I have this written on my blackboard right next to my door: do what's best for you every day, but make the next day better and have no regrets. One of my latest phrases, which I wrote, I'm not patenting it. I'm sure somebody said something similar in the past. And just to let you know, no matter how creative and amazing and open-minded you are, there's pretty much nothing out there that you could create that has not been already created. Everything is a deviation from something that was invented early. And that's good, because that gives you an ability to make it better using Kaizen, which is a Japanese principle of continuous improvement and a big thing in iterative development and project management. But for your own improvement, I'd say be happy first with yourself and look at it. I can be happier. You don't have to necessarily continuously look at yourself in the mirror and say, well, no, okay, I could be better. No, this is not good. Then again, you're trying to find Perfection for the sake of perfection is not good. Perfection for the sake of contempt and happiness and for ability to enjoy your life in the present, because that's truly the true life is today, right now, is the right approach to life, in my humble opinion. However, again, do not deviate and say, well, I'm going to live my life today like no other day, because what if today is the last day? Then you're being pessimistic. There's no vision for the future, right? So again, don't go extreme. Extremums are not good. Stability, ability to focus, ability to refresh yourself. And it doesn't mean that sometimes you won't experience anxiety, or you won't experience some thoughts that you don't want, or other kind of external environment factors or triggers that will impede you in one way or the other. But what you have to do is create affirmations, meditate, try to exercise at least a little bit every day, whatever helps you do that. Your smartwatch, get a dog if you want to experience unconditional love. That's definitely, the best thing ever you can do is a pet, but it depends what pet. There's cat lovers out there. I understand you, but cat is a cat, right? It has its own life and way, but some cats are different though. But dog, most of the time, 90% of the time, will give you unconditional love. It will teach you how to love a living human or being or creature or whatever you want to call it, right? Anything living. There's no other way to understand that. Some people, what they do is they get a dog so they can get prepared for the kids in their life. Yes, halfway you can do that, but if we talk about kids for a second, and I don't have any kids yet, or none that I know of, at least, I would say, for me, kids, when I think about it, and I want to have kids before I'm 40, it's a way to understand life more profoundly. It's a way to improve yourself, to take it to the next stepping stone. Having kids for the sake of, oh, my friend Joe has kids, or, I should have kids at this time, or I should get a house, or I should build a tree, as we say in Russian, in my backyard. Says who? Why? Why do you really need that? Or why do you need a big house to have a lot of things, right? So here I talk about minimalistic approach, or in project management, if we pair it, Layne. Everything should be incremental and for a reason. And that's not necessarily logic. That's just a matter of continuous flow and sort of relaxed journey where things come at the right time because universe brings them to you. They will knock at your door at the right time. Don't beg for them. Just know that things will happen at the right time in your life. And
you need to be open to that energy, because sometimes things will come to you and you won't know it.
Absolutely. Don't that actually brings a good concept, Jay. Risk, right? So calculated risk, enthusiastic risk, or minimal enthusiastic risk, I would call it, is absolutely acceptable. If you're afraid to lose what you have, and it doesn't necessarily have to do with money. So there's risk not related to financial implications. You will not be able to grow. You will not be able to develop. You will always sit there. It's like, here's an analogy, great analogy from history. Not any particular battle, but if you sit in the, trying to remember the word in English. Again, you got to know that I'm not a native English speaker, even though I try to speak the best of my abilities. But like when you're preparing for the war and the army is attacking you, and you dig a trench. Okay, you dig a trench and you're sitting there with the machine guns. Well, there's two things to it. Number one, you dug a trench. So you're sitting there, you're not moving, there's no flow. And they're moving at you in one way or the other. You got the machine gun and you're pissing them off because you're shooting them and a lot of people are dying and, so forth. Well, guess what's going to happen sooner or later? You're going to get tired. Your bones and everything, your legs, you're just going to get fatigued and the bullets will end. And these guys, one way or the other, are going to come and attack you and they will win. Because if I was at the other edge of it, I'd be pissed that somebody's trying to take me out with a machine gun and I have a sniper rifle in my arsenal and I can shoot well. So I'm going there either way. I'm winning this battle. So that's what you got to always know. Dynamics, movement, that's very important thing in life. You have to take that risk sometimes. If you fail, you learn from your mistakes. Ability to learn from your mistakes is very important. It makes you a stronger person. If you have the kind of friends and parents and relatives that tell you, well, we love you, we care for you, don't do this. And you've never experienced that in your life. And it's other than something very extreme, right? Like, I don't know, trying heroin or something like that. I'm just taking something extreme. You should test the ground, because you will not have your own understanding of what emotions are tied to this type of risk. Once you do, however, and you fail, if you, again, a rational human being, even if you've got some issues, we all do, by the way, it's fine. Embrace your issues so you can use them to your advantage, whatever it is, and just common things being ADHD, working in remote space, OCD, I don't know, and other type of diagnosis. You will have that knowledge, and your body will tell you the next time, don't. If fish and chips are half price off at Park Layne in West Broad Village on Tuesday evening, and Andrey's coming back from the gym after a long day of meetings, and he's hungry as hell, and it's already 8 or 9 p.m., and it's a great steal paired with Belhaven Ale. Nope.
That is an oddly specific reference.
It is, but for me, it actually works because I've tried that before several times. And while I'm consuming that combination, I feel great, but the next day I feel like crap.
Right.
And that's what you got to do. Will and determination. The reward will be delayed, but it will be later. The next day when you wake up and you get yourself on the scale, praise yourself, cherish yourself. You know how you're going to do that? Morning full breakfast. We say in Russian. This is just for health purposes. Eat your breakfast yourself, share lunch with your friend, and give dinner to your enemy. Well, you shouldn't have any enemies, but it's colloquialism, right?
I like that.
But it truly is true if you think about it. And in the end, you're making good for yourself. You're not following the trends. You're not following the triggers. You're doing something for what your body will thank you. Now, make sure you drink a lot of water. And I have a blurred screen here. I don't know if you can see it, but I have a huge stein full of lemons and limes and water. That's what, oh, there you go. Awesome. So that's what you got to do.
Got my bottle with me at all times. You made a lot of points here during this conversation, and several of them I was going to respond to, but they're really summed up for me in one word. And you mentioned Buddhism. I meditate every day.
Awesome.
I believe big time in energy, the energy you put out into the world versus what you're getting back. Not that it's equal. It'll never be equal, but you put more positive energy into the world, you're going to get more positive energy back. But I come down to one word, and it's really summed up by the practice of meditation, and it's that word, practice. Everything is a practice. Everything. By that I mean you never really become enlightened. You never really arrive at the perfect relationship. You never really have the perfect job. You're never completely fulfilled. Therefore, you almost need to have if you want to use a trite saying, have the journey be the destination. Because the practice itself, and practice just means do it over and over and over and over and over again, and enjoy or find gratitude within the practice itself. It sounds like that's what you're getting at. And I want to emphasize, because we kind of blew by it, the TruAgility RVA.com is your website, and that is your accompanying website for your practice, ironically, for your life coach business, TruAgility RVA. And you've sort of laid out your approach. But does that speak to you, the nature of practice and that everything is a practice? If you want to lose weight, to your point, say you want to lose weight, just practice putting off that craving, even for 5 minutes, but then put it off the next 5 minutes. Or if you want to go back to school, the practice would be just take one class at a time. Like you said, exercising, I totally agree. I mentioned before we started recording that I'm a cyclist. My bike is where I find sanity, my bike and music. And I
Awesome.
used to not get on my bike, whether it was a mountain bike or a road bike, if I couldn't go out and do, say, 20 miles, and then I was having a conversation with a friend of mine who at the time happened to be an elderly gentleman. He was about 70. He goes, I'll get on my bike and maybe I'm on for 5 minutes, but at least I've been on my bike and I'm closer next time to the last time I rode. And I was like, wow, that makes a lot of sense, and rather than thinking I'm not doing this activity justice if I can't go full in, just do a little bit. Just do a little bit. And anything we pursue, anything we bring into our sphere of energy deserves practice, which is repetition and respect and gratitude. Do those concepts kind of fit into what you teach or how you guide through your coaching business? And do you have thoughts on that?
Absolutely, Jay, and thanks for sharing some of the ways of the force that you use to be happier. I think one of the important things to highlight before we go into details is that it's about the process, and that applies equally in life and in work. Let's put it this way. Well, work is part of life, so. And by the way, just to mention about that, my dad has a great saying, at least I heard it from him the first time. He says, don't live to work, work to live. So that's a thin line there, right? A lot of people don't understand that, right? There's plenty of people out there who's like, this is my job, this is my life. Really? There's another thing there as well. When you think about it, when we all end up there, we know where the destination is, right? And I'm not going to say it, but everybody understands. Are you really going to be thinking about your work? I highly doubt that Einstein was thinking about that when he was dying. I'm sure he thought about the things he didn't have time to do, people he didn't spend time with. These are the things that matter. Find time every day. Have a protected hour. Yes, you do have it. Yes, you do. You go to the restroom, you take food, you get sleep. Yes, you do. I can, and so can you. And that's why I always put that hashtag. You can do it too. But there's nothing unique about what I'm doing. I'm just a person who's trying to be better, trying to be happier, trying to discover new ways. And you can do it as well. Everybody can. And there's plenty of people to learn from. If I'm sitting in the room where I'm the smartest person, you're in the wrong room, buddy. That means you capped yourself at this development. That means there's nothing else to learn in life. And that's not true. There's much more to learn. So to answer your question, yes, I try to employ the process in many ways. The concept of 10,000 hours or 5 years roughly is very important. Again, controlling your ego in that process, right? For example, I'll take music, and you can append to that much more realistically than I can. I just play a little bit of guitar, and I have a piano, unpacked piano from Amazon, which a good person gave me that I still yet to learn. But the more you play, even after you finish the conservatoria, the musical school, the better you get. And you can never be ultimate because it's so much practice, it's so much repetition. So the process, enjoyment of the process and perfection of the process is integral. As comparison to, again, the project management field. I don't know why I'm doing that, maybe because I'm partially one foot in that field, but I think it's just interesting to note how everything connects, Buddhism, Ikigai, project management, everything in life, fitness. Agile Manifesto of Software Development, right, which was developed in 2001, I'm sorry. It has a lot of good doctrines, a lot of good stipulations and principles and values. And one of them is that collaboration and communication is more important than the documentation, right? And formal, tools. So the process, enjoyment of the process, perfection of the process is more important than the end result. However, you do have to have value-driven process. That's important. That's something that I want to note here. And hence the whole idea about minimum viable product. MVP is not a completely unknown thing these days. Even small entrepreneurs that have nothing to do with software, like MVP, I got to produce MVP. Yes, but you need to love the process and continuously fine-tune the process to enjoy what you're selling, to believe in what you're selling or offering, for the clients to really understand and enjoy that. And that's why empathy sessions with clients, with stakeholders are so important. Don't forget who your client is. You're working for the company, right? As a product owner, you're trying to please your stakeholders, but your real stakeholders are the people you're going to be presenting the product to. If they're outside the organization, right, you need to, as we call them, cannery releases that you need to produce for them to test it, for them to understand it. But this mindset of value-driven development of whatever you're doing, whether it's software, whether it's buildings, whether it's intangible services, that should always be in your focus, because value by nature comes from your appreciation and your satisfaction of the work you do, because you get that sense of fulfillment and whole, social impact, whatever you're going to call it, impact, right? And that signifies I'm doing something valuable, and people feel it, they take it and say, this is awesome. That's a good example for you of one company, and I don't have to say anything else about that, Apple, right? I'm not saying that's the only company you should look for when it comes to computers, smart devices. All I'm saying here, and they're pretty hefty overpriced, or priced hefty, maybe not overpriced, but there's definitely passion there. There's definitely love, and there's definitely value-driven development. Everything they do, everything they approach, and the way they position it at the retail store and the corporate office and different places, people love what they do. I mean, they just love it. And I'm talking to you right now on a Microsoft Surface. That was a kind gift from Impact Makers to IT for Causes and to me. And I love this device, but I got to tell you something about this. And I love Microsoft and I love their products. But there's one example, there's one issue with Microsoft. And I think that's the reason Apple comes so heavily in the forefront sometimes, that they try to replicate some things that others have done. You shouldn't do that. You should aspire to them, but you should create your own. And that's the very reason why Surfaces have experienced so many issues technologically with their screens and other things. I can feel that they're not focusing on the process. They're focusing on the market, and it's a pseudo value that they're trying to create with this particular product line. I'm not saying all of their products. M365 stack is amazing. I love it. I use it. But that's what happens when you don't have a feeling of fulfillment or value behind what you do. When you're gauged only by the market, by the competition, and not understanding what truly the product you're working on means, what the resources underlying it do, and how you need to connect the dots. And that's where the Shangri-La, as I like to joke, of project management or product management is. That's where true leaders in that field are born, that can understand all this.
I'm finding, as this conversation is evolving, I'm finding it fascinating that you're definitely a man of passion, but you're also very analytical, even your references. And it's really interesting because I know some other life coaches, mindset coaches, and like you just said, you're coming at it from a different place than someone else versus someone else versus someone else, which is why I would encourage people. And I think you might end up specializing, and this is just me spitballing, working with corporate leaders or people who might be stuck in a career that's not agreeing with them. And like I said, this is just my impressions because you are analytical, but it's still about passion, and you're about bettering yourself and about wellness. And I do find it interesting that, number one, that you're into Buddhism, and number two, that you have a Buddhist mentor. That's really interesting to me. So, do you think, I mean, it would be easy to say you're left-brained. Do you think you're right or left-brained or a nice balance? Because I have a little bit of the logical side as well. I started my career wanting to be a musician, ended up in radio because I was like, well, I'll go into the business side of music. That should be safe. And I sort of did it a disservice because when you're a musician or some sort of artist, it follows you the rest of your life. Do you agree with any of those impressions? And is there a perfect client for you, for your coaching business, if you will?
That's a loaded question there, Jay.
I know. I don't want you to limit your prospects, but I'm just curious about the process.
Thank you. Well, let's start with Buddhism. And if I forget something, I hope you will remind me. But it starts with the person. So my friend Hiko, he's originally from Japan. He underwent his own transformation which took him from Japanese, amazing, lean, minimalistic philosophy of life, yet very formalized when it comes to traditions, values, and relationships with sort of, older people, younger people, and just the whole society constraints, right, on formalism, to America, where there's more democracy in that process, there's more freedom of expression, other things, but at the same time, there's a lot of political correctness still. And he had his own, marriage, which failed at some point. And through the process of his hardships, he chanted and chanted and chanted and became wiser, as I feel. I like to call him mentor, but he says I'm his friend. He doesn't like to take that title, even though he's, 67, I believe, at this point. He's my best friend. He really is at this point. He lives here, luckily. I've had some good friends in Russia, in Jersey, but he's a true friend. And the reason I call him a true friend is not because I've eaten a pound of salt with him. Probably we've eaten less. In fact, he's the first and only Japanese or just human being in general that told me, Andrey, why are you putting so much soy sauce on your sushi? I said, I don't know. It's low sodium soy sauce and it tastes great. He said, please don't do that. If you want to, if you want to take care of your kidneys, just dip it slightly and that's it. It's salt. And the way he said it, that shaped redefined my whole understanding of sushi, sashimi, and everything. But he listens. Best friend is a friend that can listen. Good life coach is a person who can listen to you, not judge you, not tell you what to do, but facilitate the change in you. As I like to say, I'm not the magician. The magician is within you, and I just try to help you uncover that magician and do amazing things that life has to give you that you're even not aware of yet. I'm the facilitator. That's why I have this process that I've tested, and it's working process now, of the daily, weekly, or even monthly scrums that I do with some of my clients, where we have a Trello board, and I ask them those daily scrum questions sometimes, or weekly scrum questions, where I say, what did you do yesterday? What do you plan to do today to be happier, to be content with yourself, to feel productive? Are there any impediments as you feel? And how may I serve you or help you for you to not feel that there are impediments? And mainly impediments are in the head, right? We create them. We tell ourselves we got a problem or we can't do this. The word can't should not be in your lexicon. It should not. You can do everything in life.
I'm going to let you finish, but I have to jump in because what you're talking about reminds me of a quote, I think attributed to Michelangelo, when they said, how in the world did you sculpt such an amazing masterpiece like David? And he said, I just took away everything from the marble that didn't look like David. That's kind of what you're getting at, is that there is a better you there. Just take away the parts that isn't the better you.
It's actually it's interesting that you mentioned this because as I go on in life, I tend to believe that the classical deductive approach, speaking about logics, where you have one idea, big vision, and you break it down into pieces. Well, how about turning it the other way around? Inductive approach. You got all of these small pieces, and they are part of a big puzzle called life. Try to make that work. Try to find you know, um, the roads leading to that inductive helm. That's where the fun or challenging part is. But from another analogy or an example in life, and I just heard this recently when, I mean, it's a famous quoted phrase where I think Van Gogh was in one of the cafes in Paris, and he was drawing something on the napkin, I believe. And one lady said, "Oh, can I have this napkin, please, when when you leave?" Because she thought it's just a napkin. And he said, "Sure, madam, $20,000." And she said, "What? Are you kidding? It's just a napkin with some drawing on it. It took you like half a minute to do it." And he looked at her and said, "I'm sorry, madam, it took me all my life."
Right.
Appreciation. And I'm sorry for anybody out there who's listening and thinking that I misquoted it, but you get the idea,
No,
right?
yeah, absolutely.
It's feeling of value, feeling of self-worth, being able to say no and say yes, very important things in life that are so hard because you're trying to make somebody happy. Well, how about you try to make yourself happy? How about you try to make yourself respected and respect yourself for others to respect you? Trust yourself with risk and other factors and actions for others to trust you. All of that, basically, everything you do is a reflection of what you will get from the universe. That's the biggest secret of life, speaking of that. That's really what it is about, I feel.
I relate to that so much in my professional environment because I've spent a lot of time in recording studios, and as a voice actor, which is what we're doing now. You referred to it as a side hustle. This is a passion project of mine to bring more positivity into the world. I call it a platform for positivity. But
Right.
People come into a recording studio and they can't understand why it's $100 to $200 an hour. All you're doing is pushing buttons. It's like, yeah, but all this equipment that has been paid for and the whole lifetime of figuring it all out. And as a voice actor, it's like, all you're doing is talking. It's like, yeah, but it took a long time to get the equipment, understand how to break down copy. There's a performance aspect to it. There was the technology obviously used to record it. So I totally relate to that. And I love that the inductive approach is fascinating. Take all the pieces of marble that are laying on the ground that Michelangelo just cut away and work backwards.
And lean, there's a lot of lean approach to that, incremental development, lean, minimalistic development. There's some books that I definitely, hopefully that will be of value to some of you.
I'm glad you're going here. I was going to ask you any books, or you mentioned audiobooks, any sources of inspiration. Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first one and foremost, to redefine your understanding of the matter in your life and strip it down. And there's a lot of different books out there. I mean, these are just examples of some of the things I've read. And as you read more and more of self-transformation, self-help books, so to say, or inspiring books, you will find that a lot of them are similar, or they're trying to preach the same viewpoint. And it starts with Carnegie, Napoleon Hill, goes to Covey, Richard Branson, I don't know what you have, and Tony Robbins, which is my all-time favorite. But Minimalist Way by Erica Layne is a good one. It will help you understand and declutter your life in terms of all of the crap, pardon my French, that you have in your house, in your life, in your apartment, in your car, in your office, in your drawer. Do you need all of that? Things are energy that we carry in life. We move, like right now, right? I'm on a strategic place in life where I have to decide, am I staying here and accepting the 15% increase and making Joe Brown, let's just say whoever that is, rich by paying for the apartment that I don't own and keeping all my crap that I have here? Or do I sell it? Do I donate it to Goodwill? Do I throw it out? Do I just keep a few, bags and a backpack of things I truly use every day? And I know exactly what that is, because that's what matters. And I use it and I need it. And everything else, if I haven't used it for a year or two or more, do I really need it? That's when you strip down all of the necessary material possessions, life becomes easier. Now, these days, it's a little bit easier to do that because, we have the cloud, all the files, all the paperwork that can be uploaded. But, having a taxonomy is important. And IT people listening will understand, a project manager. You have to categorize things, prioritize them as much as you can. But you don't have to do it all at once. Just, you can concise things. So that's one book I would recommend to clean up first before you move forward. To move forward on your own journey, Hal Elrod, Miracle Morning. And he says on his cover, before 8 a.m., right? If you wake up before 8 a.m., guys, 6 a.m., before 6 a.m. Okay. My absolute record at this point, 4:30 a.m. Okay. I don't do it every single day. I don't even do it every single week, but try to consistently stay within 5 a.m. to 6 a.m. range. That's good enough. Okay. And the reason you want to wake up that early, let me tell you some of the basics behind it. You wake up and you don't just jump and say, oh, okay, I'm ready for the day. It's usually like, oh, okay. Then you take your phone. By the way, try to not do that. That's bad for your eyes. Just saying, you will figure that out with time. And probably most of us do that, right? Just use a regular alarm clock. Try to keep the phone away from you so that it doesn't affect your eyes as much as possible, but make sure you have a good working alarm. Then, you need to sort of dehibernate. You're in this trance mode when you can meditate, right? So meditation, time for like 10, 15, 20-minute meditation. I recommend The Great System by Joe Dispenza. You can read his books. That's where it started for me on that meditative journey. Sadhguru, absolutely great. If you want to pair it with yoga, you should probably pair it with yoga. I'll be a little bit more demanding life coach there. Yoga is amazing thing. And you can do it at home, by the way. You don't need to sign up anywhere. Just put it on your TV, put it in your phone, something. There's so many courses out there. YouTube, as we say in Russian, Google or YouTube to help you. There you go. That's all you need. It's free.
That's Russian?
It's a phrase we say. So help you Google. So help you YouTube, as we say,
Nice.
So that's definitely second one I would recommend. It will explain to you how to, stay fit, how to start your morning early, that you should dress in your gym clothes, sweat out the negative energy that you accumulated overnight, take a shower, and then, by the way, do yoga. Sadhguru actually recommends that. So internal engineering, Sadhguru is another one I would throw in there. I usually say 3, but the 4th book, Internal Engineering, absolutely remarkable book. Will tell you about the wisdom of of the East that a lot of us in the West sometimes disregard or think that what do they know? We're here, they're there, but we all are from the same planet. We have to engage in knowledge transfer. Don't forget that. And 4th book kind of comes as a next step in life. It will help you understand how to love yourself, how to love others, how to communicate in the correct love language. I'm sure you know which one that is. Gary Chapman, 5 Love Languages. So a remarkable book for 2 reasons. One is it gives great suggestions in simple, lean form. And most importantly, he's the only therapist, classical psychologist, in my personal viewpoint, from all of the ones I've listened and read, that truly don't tell you right off the bat that's a toxic relationship. Get out of there. It's bad. That person is wrong. You're right. You're wrong. They're right. Oh my God. No. And you pay money to these people and they prescribe pills to you and you go on and on with it and you defend this lifestyle. The magician is within you. It's within every one of us. And you can change your life to whatever you want as long as you have clear vision, a passion for the process, and the determination to sustain daily struggles and challenges that life will and should bring on you for you to be a much happier person in the end.
I'm going to leave it right there. That is great advice. How can people get in touch with you and get some one-on-one help with all you've laid at their feet?
Well, the best way, so just a little preamble to what you mentioned earlier, TruAgilityRVA.com, TruAgility.org is the brand. The idea and my vision is to create different True Agility meetup and support and help groups across the country. I'm not Sadhguru. I'm not trying to be one right now. It's just about my transformation and helping others in the community. There's a lot of social application and nonprofit backbone to that in my mind still. And I love it. And I'm not going to step away from that. I feel that's the right path for this particular social enterprise and venture, but it's going to be True Agility NYC, True Agility DC, True Agility LA, and so forth. So that's the goal. Right now I'm in Richmond, Virginia. So True Agility RVA is a meetup group. You can join the meetup group. It's free. There's 3 questions that you're going to be asked. If you had any experience before like that, what issues or challenges you experience, and would you be willing to share some personal information that will be protected, secured by secure socket layer, 256-bit encryption, all of that great stuff. And of course, never disclosed, even should FBI, NSA, and CIA come to my house and torture me. Now, they won't, of course, but I'm just saying. So I live by a true, humble, transparency layer. And I'm willing to share all the knowledge that I accumulate daily and have accumulated before with my audience. You can reach me by my email, Andrey, there's a Y at the end, just in case, saying, because a lot of people want to put I. V as in middle initial V, Victor, and Karpov, like the chess player. I'm not attributing myself to him in no way, just easy to analogies to understand, at outlook.com. And the phone number is 804-885-0865. Other than that, it's really easy to find me on all of the social media channels. Please reach out, please connect, please subscribe, please share. I'm happy to engage in small groups, on one-on-ones. My 3-step program, Kickstart program, as I call it, or intensive, consists of 3 meetings that span about 12 hours of time. First meeting is completely free with no obligations or strings attached. It's about 3-4 hours. Sometimes I even go over that, of deep life coaching, where I uncover your mind and your possibility to transform. Now, I don't leave you at that unless you want me to. And I always say you don't need a life coach or therapist or anyone else. You just probably want one if you feel you need some help. You need a buddy to kick you in the butt, so to say, in a good sense of the word, very diplomatically, right, to facilitate that change. Second one is 50% off the price, which is really negotiable, and that's so laughable that I'm not going to even quote it. It's not about the money right now. It's about helping people. And third one is full cost. So altogether, it's about 3-4 hours each consultation. That's an intensive. And then once you've undergone that first initial MVP transformation process, we can talk about recurring coaching, 3, 6, 9, and 12 months range on an agreement where we can actually, I can be more tailored to your needs. I'm looking to build a portfolio of about 7-10 at this point recurring clients on a long term, which would allow me to provide value-driven services, life coaching services, to a closed portfolio group of, like-minded, open people, for the benefit of those people, without running after numbers, but running after quality, and feeling, the Zen in me, and that I'm doing the right thing.
Great. Andrey, thanks, man. Thank you for your, as I like to say, your time, attention, and intention.
Jay, I'm so grateful to you as well that you took the time, and that this is probably the best gift for my birthday, because it's not about advertising myself, guys. It's in a way, it's my confession. There's much more to be said, and I'm always happy to share my story in a way, but I want to be respectful to you. When we talk, it's about you. It's about whatever you want to talk about that you feel is important for me to analyze together with you and help you and guide you in the right direction so that you can be a happier person in the end.
And that's where we'll leave it. That's great. Andrey, thank you for being here on the Good Eye podcast, man. All the best. Best energy, best fortune, best luck. Good health to you, man.
Thank you. You forgot to ask me about the thumbs up thing, but
that's right. That's right. Well, this is audio, but every time I see you, and I wasn't sure initially, I was like, Andrey needs a new gesture, and then I finally realized that's your thing. It's always positive, thumbs up.
It's natural. I got to tell you this, but if there's one last thing to be said, post-scriptum, P.S., is that I finally, after many, many years, and this is a big thing, you can Google it, guys, I learned that when, you ask people, how's it going? Great. How are you? Good. How are you? And that's it, right? And you're like, what the heck was that? And if you're coming like from an Eastern European culture, as I am, but there's a lot of meaning to that. Nobody wants to hear the story of your life. Truly, like in right now, this second, nobody wants to really exchange problems, because problems don't lead you forward. And everybody wants to feel positive. But what I can tell you in the end, if you embrace that mentality and culture, you're going to start doing it truly from your heart. It's not going to be like, no, it's going to be more like, yeah, it's great. Things are good. Things going to be good. Things are good, or they will be good, period. No turning back. All right. So that's the reason I do it. It comes naturally. It may sound or seem like geeky to some people or strange. It doesn't matter. As long as you're doing something right? As long as you're doing something good and your body is telling you do that you're doing that and it feels right, your body will never, ever lead you in the wrong direction. It's your friend within you who's always telling you, that second person you talk to sometimes and you're not willing to admit. They're your friend. They're your best buddy. Listen to them. They got your back 24/7, 365. I'm telling you.
I love it. Thumbs up, man.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you, Jay.
Thank you, Andrey. Absolutely. And you can find out more, as I mentioned, online at TruAgility RVA. That's TRU Agility RVA.com and IT4causes.org. And you can email me directly at jay@jsmack.com. That's JAY. Not just the letter J. So thanks very much for listening. Thank you for your time, attention, and intention. And until next time, practice looking at life with your good eye.